Hello again, YouTubers. Still Sexy Butch again. This is my third and I think final video today. I just have a lot to say today. In this video, I touched on it a little bit in my video about my parents. In this video, I want to talk about cancer in my family. My family has had a lot of cancer. We have a genetic defect from my dad. It's called HNPCC, which is hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer. That's the gene, and it's also known as Lynch syndrome. And because of this genetic defect, there's been a lot of colon cancer in the family, but there's also been other cancers in my immediate family I'm talking about. Let me just give you a rundown first. My dad had started with my dad in the mid-1960s. He had colon cancer, which nearly killed him, but he survived it. Then in the 1980s, one of my older sisters got cervical cancer, and she made it through that okay. And then in 1990-91, sometime around there, my older brother David got colon cancer, and my dad got cancer again. This time it was prostate cancer. So then there were two members of the family dealing with cancer at the same time. And they fought that for quite a while, both my dad and my brother, fighting their colon cancer and prostate cancer respectively. My dad lost his battle with colon cancer in '97. I mean with prostate cancer. My dad died from prostate cancer in '97. My older brother David, after fighting his colon cancer for like 6 or 7 years there, on the very day that he was told that he was finally cancer free, that they couldn't find any more cancer, he was 51 at the time. He went home. His wife dropped him off at home to go grocery shopping, and when she came back, he was dead, laying in bed dead. What happened was he had apparently had a massive heart attack, and that's what killed him. But he was a smoker, and that, I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But yeah, the very day you're told you're cancer free, you go home and have a heart attack. And then let's see, I think it was in 2004, my younger brother got prostate cancer, and luckily he survived that, and I think his was caught fairly early, so that was good. And in 2005, my sister got cancer again, only this time it was colon cancer, and she has survived that. Then in 2008, I got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, which was also in the uterus, so uterine cancer too. I guess they're two separate cancers, uterine and ovarian. And I had to have a total hysterectomy, and they took everything out. So there's been a lot of cancer in my family, as you can tell. I mean, out of my mom and dad and 5 children, 5 out of 7 members of our immediate family have had 1 or more cancers. So this Lynch syndrome thing is pretty nasty, I guess. I always thought, growing up, that, you know, I thought that if I got cancer, if I ever got cancer, that it was going to be colon cancer, because, well, after my dad had it, and then especially after my brother David developed it years later, I thought, well, if I ever get it, it'll probably be colon cancer. And then, of course, after my sister Becky had it, I was definitely like, okay, if I ever get cancer, it's probably going to be colon cancer. I was totally surprised when it was ovarian and uterine cancers. That just came out of left field. And, you know, what can you do? When you have a genetic defect, well, there you go. I mean, it doesn't. I've come to understand that just because you have a genetic defect and a genetic predisposition doesn't necessarily mean that you or anybody or everybody in your family is going to get cancer. I think I read somewhere that most people have the potential to develop cancer. Most of the time it's just spontaneous. It just happens and nobody knows why. But in the small percentage of families where there is a genetic defect, I guess it is more fairly common for several members of a family to have cancer. So, but, you know, obviously in my family it's a problem. But it's something that you have to live with, I guess. I remember thinking, after I got my cancer, that I remember something that Arlo Guthrie said years ago. His family has, you know, his father had Huntington's disease, and the children of people with Huntington's disease, each child has a 50-50 chance of developing this disease, which is incurable. It is a horrible disease. I've seen it. I've seen the effects of it. I used to be a nurse's aide years ago. Anyway, I remember somebody asking him in an interview one time, you know, well, how do you deal with that, knowing that, you know, at any time you could very well develop this yourself, you know, and he basically said, well, you know, if it happens, it happens, and you know, I'm just going to live my life and not worry about it, because, you know, if it happens, what, you know, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and that's the way it is. It hasn't happened to him yet, thank God, and he's, I don't know, he must be in his 60s now. I don't think he's in his 70s yet, but I think he's in his 60s. But he's still out there doing stuff and performing and that, so apparently he's been one of the lucky ones. And in my family, it could have gone the other way, you know. Didn't necessarily have to be practically everybody in the family getting it once or twice. But that's how it's turned out. You know, there's been a lot of it. So I know that there's always a chance that I could develop cancer again. And the thing that I find most difficult about it is that anytime that I start to have symptoms that you know, are similar to the kind of symptoms I had before my first cancer was discovered, I tend to get paranoid, you know. Now the thing with the cancer in my family that I think is important to remember too is that it didn't all happen just like boom, 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 you know. There was a time period in between each person getting cancer. There was anywhere from like 15 to 20 years in most cases. Except there wasn't that big of a time period between when my older sister got cervical cancer and when my dad and my older brother got, you know, their cancers. Well, when, you know, when my older brother got the colon cancer and my dad got the prostate cancer. I think there was only about maybe 5 or 6 years difference there. I don't remember exactly, but it seems like the older we're getting, the more frequently it's occurring. So you know, the time between my younger brother getting prostate cancer and my older sister getting the colon cancer and me getting my cancers, those are within a couple, 2 or 3 years of each other. So I think as we're getting older, it's getting, you know, more frequent. But you know, it's just something that we have to live with. And if I eventually die of cancer, well, you know, I'll have to die of something. So you just live your life one day at a time, and don't worry about it. You know, keep getting your regular checkups, and you know, try to keep on top of things. Otherwise, there's not much else you can do when you have this genetic predisposition. So anyway, that's my video on cancer, and I hope that everybody out there is having a good day today, and I wish you all to have a good evening. And as always, I wish you all peace and love. And until next time, this is Still Sexy Butch, staying sexy. And until next time, saying adios.